Welcome to Follow Your Joy podcast, where intuition is the doorway to your elevated creativity, more joy, and prosperity. I'm your host, Marla Diane, and I've been living an intuitive life for decades as a creative. That translates to transforming creative entrepreneurs' lives for over 27 years through two businesses as a business strategist and a life designer. And prior to that, an entertainment publicist and talent manager. Follow Your Joy is an entrepreneurial resource for creatives sharing their challenge to victory stories through the lens of listening to their intuition. It's time to make joy your inner GPS for life and business decisions rather than lean on your logic and reason first. You'll not only be following what is most authentic for you, but you will live the beautiful life meant just for you. Want to learn how to access, trust, or up-level your intuition? Join me in the conversation to find out how. Here we are. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So this was specific to my gals. See if this feels familiar. You're at a stage in your life where you've done a lot of work to get your business, running systematically. And for the most part, it's making the impact you want and it's generating the revenues, which then allows you to step back. I call it lean back and look at where you want to go next. Right? And that's where my guest is. She is in a place of wonder, discovery, and I call it the feminine. It's the feminine place of and feminine power, if you will, of leaning back, receiving, right? Following the intuitive direction even more than what you've been doing, right? Rather than mostly being in the masculine energy of logic and strategy and getting things done and the hustle and all that. There's a time and place for that, ladies, right? So Luna Battalia calls herself a leadership mentor, okay? Supporting mature women at their intersection of their personal, professional lives as they build their legacies, or what she calls a body of work from the inside out. Perfect synergy from my world. So I love this. Into then their personal brand. So we're moving into a personal brand kind of discussion. Her women clients have lived full lives. That's what I consider mature, right? And are at a stage in life that they're more passionate about contribution and legacy than metrics of business. Okay, ladies, tell the truth. How many times have you been there, or are you there now? Contribution, legacy, then the logic, the linear, the function of life, of metrics of business. Not saying that's not important. All right. Okay. Well, you will hear more about, right, Luna as founder and creative director of the brand studio Caru Creative. She's creator of Animist Branding. We're going to unpack all this, so hang in there, everyone. Animist Branding is a psychology-driven approach to marketing, and it's shaped by her 15 years at the intersection of digital marketing and buyer psychology. I'm really interested in hearing about that. She focuses on brand messaging, business and brand strategy, visual branding, and web design. Ooh, that's a lot on that platform. So I want to welcome you, Luna Battalia, to Follow Your Joy. It's a delight to have you.
Thank you, Marla. I'm so happy to be here with you and your beautiful audience. I'm excited to see what unfolds in this conversation.
Yes, absolutely. So let me give a little bit more background on you, and then we'll kind of dive into, start on some of the questions. Yeah?
Sure.
Okay. So Luna is no stranger to intuition, hence the theme of this podcast. She lives, and this is really what I garnered from reading through her content, right? Your content before we met. And that is that you live as a creative and woman in that intuitive naturally. And that is it's your strength personally and in business is living by that intuitive space, right? Um, Luna also created the methodology, which she's going to explain, called business as entity. It's rooted in the relationship, ladies. Um, Rooted in the relationship that we have with our business. Okay, there's a synergy that goes on here, right? Which I know we're going to get to hear all those details. Um, that is more than just being business being a container for strategy and revenues. Okay, that's the masculine. What we're going to be talking about, which sounds like to me, is the feminine of the business, right? How this all integrates, right? So yes, instead of the intention of business, it requires, this is her methodology, intimacy, slowing down, listening, connecting. That's all feminine, right? And using our intuition to allow the brand to speak and express through us. So this is a form of personal branding and how Luna does this, which you'll hear. Um, and to me, again, that's all music to my ears because of the power of feminine wisdom. Okay, let's dive in. So let's have start. Yeah, I don't know. Let's get a feel for your essence, kind of the highlights of your journey that brought you to where you are now.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say essence because when we were having a little chat before this, we pressed record, you were kind of complimenting and sharing the feeling of the feminine being quite alive and leading my life in that way. And I said, oh, well, that's been learned. And I think that the essence is both in how I was raised. I was raised by a single mom. And so she was very much, she didn't have that masculine support in her life. And so she was the maternal and the paternal. And
Mhm.
she worked and she provided and didn't have support in that way. And so the model of the feminine to me was very do it yourself, figure it out, don't ask for help because you could probably do it better yourself anyway, and kind of go, 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 and also very creative.
Mhm.
So I had this dual model through one feminine body. Whereas a lot of times when you're raised with two parents, not to say that your father is going to necessarily hold a strong masculine or your mother is going to, sometimes that's flipped and stuff, but just one woman. And I had this kind of example of both. And so my mom also passed away when I was quite young.
Mm.
I was 13 and she was 38. And so I didn't have a lot of feminine tools at the time to learn how to be with this big life change. And my approach was to kind of harden, be productive, be
Right.
pretty, popular, all
Mm.
the things, kind of social butterfly, and kind of not really acknowledge this huge thing that was happening in my life or happened in my life. And it took many years of kind of this hard external shell of pretending that I was fine to realize that I wasn't creating the relationships and friendships and intimacy that I really wanted to experience in my life until my early mid 20s. And I was like, oh, I'm the common denominator here. And I'm not getting what I want. And I'm the common denominator. So something's got to give. And I started really introspecting on some of the qualities that I had adopted and taken on to kind of protect myself
Mhm.
and deal and like kind of get through life, like to kind of
Yeah.
actually go to high school, do the things, get an education, get a job. I kind of had to put some of the feelings I felt at the time that I had to put a lot of the feelings to the side in order to just keep going.
Yeah.
And that caught up with me eventually.
Mhm.
And so the essence is a lot of this unlearning and remembering, I would say.
Mhm.
And I learned so many beautiful things from my family and from my mom, but I also had to unlearn a lot about the type of woman that I want to be in the world. I had to really unravel a lot of conditioning in order to become the woman that creates the life that I really craved. And I feel like not only have I done that, but I'm, gosh, continuing to learn more and more every day how to do that. And just when I'm in my masculine of like, look at me and look what I've done, another layer reveals itself. So the that journey of surrendering and learning and receiving that which is coming to me and that which is revealing itself on my path has been quite a journey. And that continues to happen as I age and give me more opportunities to practice that. So I would say the essence is a lot of unlearning and remembering.
I love this. It's real. I mean, it's like it's what I'm hearing. It's like the heroine's journey,
Mm.
right? And your story is it's a great example of what goes on for most modern day women, okay? Is the unlearning, right? Is that our caregivers, our parents, whoever it was, did the best they could with what they had, right? Um, and what we're doing, I believe, at this time and space, and that's why I've chosen and have been led to lead women in this feminine masculine blend, is owning and understanding and living the feminine, right? The feminine assets, the feminine power, the feminine wisdom. It's friggin' brilliant. We were born with these beautiful
Oh,
assets, right? And nobody, no fault of anyone's, but nobody, as we were growing up, nobody taught us this, right? And again, it was not around, it wasn't part of society, right? So, yeah, I mean, as I'm again listening to your story, it's like, yep, there's the markers. Yep, that's exactly. And by the way, I was a single mom.
mm,
I was a single mom, raised a very high achieving boy. He's now 34 and almost 35. And I had to play that role too. I had to be mom and dad,
hmm.
be the masculine and the feminine. And there were times that it was very, very frustrating.
Oh, I can imagine.
Oh my God. So I get your mom. Hi, mom. And I'm so sorry that you were so young when she passed.
It's okay.
And
It's a big part of what shaped me and also made me, ambitious, even though I'm trying to like release personal ambition to really just follow God's plan.
yeah,
I happen to be a very ambitious person
of
naturally.
course, of
And
course,
so
of course.
it's like that experience, thank you for your care in it. And it's like it's so much of what has shaped me.
Yeah,
I literally have no idea who I would be without that experience. It's such a
yeah.
huge thing that has defined who I am, and I really like who
Hmm.
I am. So it's almost like, oh, yeah, of course, I wish I had her, and I also am who I am because of that. And I wouldn't kind of wouldn't want to change that.
Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of your growing up story, into your 20s, it was about, and this is a positive, it was about survival,
Hmm.
right? That's the masculine. It's okay. As we were talking, and that's what I'm a teacher and big believer of an advocate is it's the blend. We
Yeah.
must have both, right? I know we agreed on that. We must have both. It's not either or, it's both. But the scale has been so tipped to the masculine for so long that we've neglected this beautiful, brilliant power, feminine wisdom. And that's what it sounds like to me is that you're just loving this kind of evolving journey to unlearn and learn, right? What's natural to you.
Yeah, and business has been such a valuable teacher and tool to see that, like relationships, friendships, all these things are mirrors that show me. But business is has been so historically such a masculine dominated world, especially with marketing tactics.
Yep.
And like the women I serve have deep care. They're service based. It's like similar businesses to yours and a lot of like coaches or teachers who have thought leadership, who have a personal brand. And so they're being led to step into this work through their feminine, through the care, through the devotion, through the gifts and the skills that they want to offer and share as a form of support, nurturance, all these feminine qualities, but then the actual running and maintenance and scaling and growing of a business,
Oh,
it requires that inner marriage and requires us to have both these masculine and feminine aspects online, but the models of business and marketing are so distorted for the feminine. And so we come in with this deep devotion and then it can get very confusing very quickly. And the I find that when people, women, my clients are stuck, I'm often like, come back to the why, come back to the original motivation, come back to the devotion, to that heart pull, the thing that kind of inspired, because there's so much input coming towards us with LinkedIn blogs and Instagram posts and marketing tips and emails and freebies and blah 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 blah. And we
yeah.
think we need all these things to get to the next level. And I'm always trying to pull away from that and connect. You know, you had mentioned the brand as entity. It's like connect with your brand as a being, connect, use relationship as the tool. And it might sound kind of woo or whatever. I'm actually like the most grounded, strategic,
Right.
nuts and bolts. And I love quantitative data as much as I love qualitative.
Yeah.
But if there's no intimacy, if the intimacy with the creation, the brand, the business has been lost or is lacking, it's very hard to get results. And then women are seeking externally to this person and the coach and the freebie and the podcast and trying to get these external answers. And I'm like, yes, but you are the birther of the business. You created it. Like no one knows what it needs more than you do. So let's come back to remembering your own wisdom, brilliance, oracular nature that can intuit things and lead from that place. And the
Mhm.
business models here, modern business models, they're not founded on that
No.
because everybody needs to make money. So I'm going to sell you something and I'm going to market it to you that you need it and there's a deficiency. And women have been conditioned for so long to buy into that in so many other ways outside business that it's perfect. Like such I'm tangenting, but like I'm thinking about how marketing, how so many things grew industry-wise because they started marketing to women, like razors and like things that women didn't need or use at a time that were just for men. But in order to make more money, we had to tell women that they had a deficiency. And then change the beauty standards and change things. And they're the shoppers, they're the consumers, they're the ones filling the house with things for the family. So it's marketing is geared towards women not believing in themselves. And then when you step into business and learn marketing, that's the conditioning. It's very hard to undo. Like that
Mhm.
unlearning and remembering is very difficult because the model is so masculine.
It's very, boy, this is a good conversation. It's very masculine because I mean I was taught, years ago, and I'm on this is my second business, but as I've learned about marketing, yeah, it's all about find the pain in the marketplace and be the solution to the pain. And it is masculine. So I am curious.
And I just want to clarify for your audience, I don't mean masculine as a bad thing ever. I
Oh,
love the masculine and
yes,
the structure, but I think it can kind of get a little bit
it's
like
skewed.
the negative aspects of
Right.
it when it's in an unhealthy can be then what we describe as masculine. I'm like, just for clarification on
No,
my end.
that's good, but it's all about in moderation, and this is the
Right,
premise to everything we're talking about, the masculine and feminine. It's a blend of both. It's not the absence of, right?
right.
And that's to help clarify even more what you're saying. So there's nothing wrong with finding the pain in the marketplace. Everybody wants a solution to their challenges. Of course. It's how I teach the entrepreneurs, right? However, what I find is interesting, which is now my question to you, what's the alternative? Is that your animist branding? Is
So
that
animist branding is, we've started to talk about animism is a philosophy concept where everything is alive. The pillow, the cup, the book, you, me, thoughts. Like it's very Japanese culturally, but a lot of indigenous cultures have a similar um, philosophy and relate things as living beings. And so I think of the business or the brand as a living being that the muse or inspiration or God kind of tapped you on the shoulder and was like, "Hey, you and me, let's make a creative baby. Only you and I can create this thing in the world. If I do it with somebody else, it's going to look different, feel different, be different." And we get to say, "Yes, I want to do that. I want to bring this art piece, this book, this business, this child's, this creation into the world." And then when we do that, we have to tend it. Um, we can't just project upon it.
right?
Like, I want this from you, like a child. You can't just be like, I want you to be a doctor and I want you to be XYZ. It's like they have to go through their own process and figure it out. And I think of the business in the same way where like we might want it to look like this, but the business entity itself is trying to communicate its needs to us because it's a creation that's separate from us. And because I work with a lot of thought leaders who have personal brands, that separation is quite difficult. And there's a little resistance, and once they do it, it's this huge relief. And so many ideas and the lack of all the perfectionism leaves because it's really about the service to the business. The business, I'm in service to the business, and the business is in service to me, and we're in relationship and we're serving each other.
Well, I like that.
And the more I'm listening, connecting, creating space to connect with it and its message instead of everybody else and their message and their tips and tricks and things, then I'm getting from the source. Right? It's like having a child as something you created in the world, birthed into being, just like a business. It's like I can assume a lot, or I can just go, "Hey, what's going on with you?" And I like to tell my clients to relate to their business that way. If they're having trouble, stop going to all these different marketing guru Instagram accounts that are telling you, "Do this, do that, do this, do that. This is the strategy, this is it." And just ask your business, "Hey, what do you need right now?" And it sounds, there's like a gestalt aspect to it. The psychology of like giving things a voice, allowing them to speak through us. And what I find is that when we create a relationship like that with something that can seem inanimate or doesn't have a voice, that we're listening in a different way and we become the messenger. We're listening to the message and we're breathing life into it. We're giving it a voice. And the business, if we don't make time to listen to it, where's that message coming from?
Mhm. That's a good question. I mean, typically people will go outside for answers. So
Yeah, I'm encouraging them to do the opposite.
I totally get that. I
And
love
not to say that it's not like I do coaching and mentorship, so like not to say don't hire people, right?
Yeah.
But if you're hiring someone or going to someone thinking that they're going to solve the problem and not realizing that the problem is rooted in the relationship itself,
Hmm.
with the business, with the approach, with the mindset, all of that is you can get the best strategy from the best coach. If your approach is externalizing that power, strategy, solutions, and doesn't have the internal, like, I believe in my ability to be fluent in my message. I don't need to listen to how this person does it because it's going to come through me in a way that can't come through anybody else. But
Right.
I have to listen to my business entity to know what it is that core message, that is the heart of it. And I just find a lot of distractions from that. And I want to remove the distractions so that the foundation of that relationship with your business can be intimate. And when it's intimate, the content, the marketing, the strategy, it appears so clearly.
So give an example. Give us a little mini case study. Give an example of, be it yours, a client's. You don't have to obviously name names, but what do you bring it down to like, okay, what does that mean?
Great. So I had a client who was a somatic trauma therapist, particularly for parents with kids who had um, either were on the spectrum or,
Okay.
and the parents were aware that their parents were aware that it wasn't the kid who was necessarily a challenge or a problem. Not all of them were on the spectrum, just kids, but that the parents could do something themselves to shift the entire trajectory of their family dynamic. So they were raised, they had trauma, the parents experienced trauma, they had kids, and they wanted to do it different. And they knew that they had to heal their trauma, but and it wasn't really about the kids being good or bad or anything. It was like they wanted to take that responsibility. So she was part parenting coach, part somatics trauma therapist, and worked primarily with women, but parents, but mostly the moms. And she was following a lot of people in her industry. And it was very difficult for her to create content.
Hmm.
And even though she's coaching, I was like, record your calls. I guarantee there's tons of content from your one-on-one calls. Start recording them. But it was the marketing, it was the content creation, it was all the business stuff that she had doubt around herself. And so then was looking to this person in her field and that person in her field who has a slightly different message. And what was happening is that her content was very fragmented. It had a lot of great ideas, and the ideas were consistent and fit into the content pillars, but the voice was a little bit of this person, a little bit of that person, and her combined. And it wasn't converting. And she had a good kind of base, but then wasn't getting a lot of new clients. And I encouraged her to do a content fast and stop, like basically mute anyone who either is in her field as a leader or a peer in her field with similar type of content and or was like a marketing guru kind of account, marketing account, business account. And we started with like 5 days, but I really wanted her to do 2 weeks. But everybody has a lot of resistance to like, not
Yeah, it's a
being on
long
their
time.
phone and stuff. And because that's where she was getting the confidence was going to these pages. And that's what was giving her structure. And that's what was giving her the sense of, oh, I can copy this format and I can piggyback on this idea. And
Sure.
which is not a bad thing
Right.
necessarily. And
Hmm.
we did a content fast. And during that time that she might be trying to create content and be on her phone or looking at other people's ideas for inspiration or guidance, she connected with her brand. And this woman not only created, like, we ended up doing 2 weeks of a content fast. Not only did she create months of content, record videos, but she gained a confidence in her point of view. And that unique point of view is one of the most important pieces of messaging and positioning. And when you're following a lot of other people, even just by scrolling and looking at content, it's influencing you. And
Right.
it's slightly being like, oh, yeah, my point of view, but like a little bit of this flavor that because I liked that and that was a good idea. And once she turned all that off, the program changed, the sales page had revisions. I was getting the sales page content to edit her copy, to look at it and give her feedback, and it was so much better because of and it was so her and it made it unique. And then I was like, all these other Instagram accounts that you are following, they're missing this. You're bringing something that isn't on the table. You're bringing something unique. But if you're trying to be like them because they're successful
Mhm.
and you're trying to copy the successful person because they must have it figured out,
Mm.
you're losing the unique thing that is why God, spirit, the muse, inspiration asked you to bring this into the world. And so her point of view got really strong, content got clear, messaging got clear, and sales increased. And mo more than that is she got a lot. The one thing that changed that we really, really noticed was retention. People were going from this to that to the program to one-on-one to more support and sticking with it because they were getting so much value. And when the POV, when the point of view changed, it was like they were in a new program. So people who had been in her work were all of a sudden in a whole new layer of their own exploration. And they were excited to continue and learn more about that. So the point of view is like huge. And it can just be something that's very distracted.
Very much so. So would you say that she got quiet enough to listen to her intuition?
Yeah, I would say
Isn't
that
that
yeah, I
what
don't
this
refer
is?
to it as intuition in this type of thing because I'm creating the brand as a thing that has a voice. You relating to the brand as a thing that has a voice, but it is. It's 100% intuition. Your intuition has to be online and you have to trust it. That's key. Because you could be hearing the voice but not trusting it, right? Like a lot
Oh,
of people have
it's
access to their intuition but
always.
don't necessarily use it to lead their
Right.
choices, make their choices. So I think that, yeah, 100%. It's that's relationship, whether it's trust with our intuition, trust with the business, the brand voice, there has to be some kind of relating happening to your body. A lot of people have a much more sensorial experience of intuition. Some of it's more auditory or sensational, but it's communicating with us. We have to be open, curious, and these are all listening, like available. These are all things that relationships require to thrive.
Correct. See, with intuition being part of my expertise and core to everything I do, hence the podcast and what I teach. What you just explained is yeah, it's a teaching, directing, in this case, this woman and any of your clients, how to get quiet enough. This is what intuition is.
Step one,
You can't hear intuition when you're in your head. You cannot.
right?
You can't listen to your intuition when you have all these distractions, everything you just explained. Content fast. Get away from everybody's opinions, get away from everybody's ideas, and go to your well and wealth of info in you. That's intuition. Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I love this process. I mean, this is a great methodology, right, ladies, about your brand, because we all know personal brands. This is where who you are online, your website, your social. It has to start with a personal brand. If not, then who are you marketing to and who are you? Because you've got to be able to translate who you are offline to online. I teach personal branding for many, many, many years. So that's why I'm like real excited about what you're
I
saying.
love that. Yay.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I started, by the way,
Oh,
in
cool.
coaching, because when I was looking for when I was segueing from an entertainment publicist. My background is writing PR journalism. I was an entertainment publicist working with, celebrities and visual performing artists, building their personal brands as their PR person, right?
Oh, I love that.
And so the perfect segue when I was ready at year 20 to leave that career, and I intuitively knew it was time to reinvent me because in 2006, 2007 is when everything was changing to go online, and I knew I needed to be
Mhm.
there, right? So the coach, fast forward, the coach that I hired, because I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I just knew it was time for reinvention and I needed to be
Mm.
online. I didn't know what and who I'd be. I had no clue what my next business was. She said to me, and this is obviously a very shortened version of it, but she said to me, she says, Marla, you have been doing personal brands for
Mm.
these entertainers, right? And visual artists for 20 years. Teach entrepreneurs how to turn themselves into a brand and market it online through blog, social media, and email marketing. I said, fantastic. Show me how. I said, I know how to do the
Right.
branding, but I don't know how to do this business you're talking about. She says it's a coach. I said, oh, okay. So I'm going to be a coach, right? And a speaker and a workshop leader. And so that's where it began. So my point is, I mean, you're singing to the choir here. It's like, yes, a personal brand. In one of the words I continually used all the time this was 2008. I started in 2008, right? When all of this was very new. But
Hmm.
I got it. I understood it. And that is being authentic. Your personal brand, and today everyone uses that and they know that. Your personal brand must be incredibly authentic to who you are, not a mishmash of a bunch of people, right? And that's kind of what you're saying is, you know what? Whoa, sit back. You're messaging how you're speaking to your audience that you know who they are. You've got to really own who you are. You've really got to listen to that intuition that's telling you this is how you become visible in who you are, not a mishmash of a bunch of people. It's kind of my translation of what you just said.
I love it. Yeah, I totally agree.
Love it. Okay. So what brings you joy? Here we are in Follow Your Joy, because the premise, let me give you a little bit of quick background and then let's hear, the answer to my question. The reason I chose, and you being in branding can appreciate this. I mean, I chose Follow Your Joy. It was intuitive. In fact, every process, you'll be proud of me. Every process I go through when I'm rebranding, and I've rebranded probably 5 times in the last 17 years. Um, every time I rebrand, come up with new content, it's always get quiet and it's intuitive, right? Um, but what got me to choose Follow Your Joy is I've been wanting to do a podcast at that point. It was 2022 is when I launched this. But for about 3 years, I knew I wanted to do it, being a journalist, being loving
Mm.
interviewing people. I love storytelling. It's in me. I'm a writer. And but I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be. I was still in the kind of, and I needed to make sure I had a good solid system for my team and I to deliver it. So yeah, when I was in a rebrand mode back in 2021 to 2022 is when it came out of me leaning back, receiving the ideas. I usually have like a flip chart and I'm kind of as throughout the weeks, I'm just adding notes and ideas. I'm not forcing anything. And that's where Follow Your Joy came because it's the core of really kind of who I am.
Mm.
I was born with a happy chip in me. Although the older I get, probably a little harder it is to stay there because all the hormones that are changing. However, Follow Your Joy came from that brand renovation. which means it's a life strategy. It's not just a passing great feeling, right? When you follow your joy, success leaves clues, right?
Mm.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
when you follow your joy, success leaves clues. And so that's how easy the name came. And then underneath that is then the intuition is, okay, how do I integrate this importance of intuition that everyone knows of, what I do? How do I add that into the follow your joy? Well, it's intuitive. Hello. you know, when you listen to your intuition and follow your joy. Okay, so there's the premise. What brings you the most joy in what you do for your women,
Oh, and what I do for my
for
clients and
your
my
clients?
okay.
Yep, your clients.
I think the thing that gives me the most joy is like I have a knack, a little spidey sense for drawing out what's not said and hearing the things underneath what they're saying. And there's something when we bring that to life
Mm.
that I love, that they are like, oh, I didn't have the words for that. But yes, that's
Mhm.
100% the
Yeah,
feeling. That's 100% what I want to do or create. And I love creative direction. I
yeah.
love creating worlds, creating, a whole brand world, a universe that people can step into, their audience and clients and peers and customers and independent contractor, everyone that they're working with can step into that world and feel very specific things. What is the feeling that we're trying to create? What is the feeling that those people are longing to experience? And how does that work with the brand universe that we're building? I love that brand world building, but I always go back to messaging. Messaging is the foundation of everything that we do at Caru, at the brand studio. You know, you can't, I copy dictates design. So I'm a big advocate for the messaging being the foundation of the entire business and brand strategy.
Mhm.
And so there's something about the messaging sessions one-on-one where I just love turning on my intuition and really listening to what is underneath, what is the brand entity? Like I can hear it. I can hear the brand speaking and bringing it through and giving it a voice and bringing it to life, and they're like, "Yes, yes, yes." And it's just this knack that I can't really teach or translate or put into a course. I can. I have a messaging course that I love, but it doesn't do that thing because you don't have me there. But
Yeah.
I'm telling you, what I'm listening for and helping people to access that on their own. That's something I just love is hearing the unheard and kind of bringing it to life. And then once it has like a little bit of terminology or voice or
Mhm.
uh, the idea is starting to come into form,
Yeah.
they can run with it.
Right.
And then the ideas just start coming and they're like, yes, yes, yes. And it just really takes a life of its own that I kind of just I hear it and then I give it back to them really
Yep.
quick.
Yep.
And they're like, can I use that? Because that was your idea. I'm like, no, it's not my idea. I'm just listening to you. And
Correct.
it's not really it's not my business. I don't need that term. I don't need this
Right.
great phrase that we just brought forward. It's for you. It came forward for you.
Correct.
And they can just run with that because it has life in a new way.
Mm. Fabulous. I mean, the reason why it's a joy for you, at least this is where my logic goes,
Mm.
besides it being obviously intuition, it's part of your zone of genius.
Mhm.
It's in and one of the attributes of zone of genius is it do that which brings you joy,
Mm, mhm.
right? In your zone of genius. So, of course, one of your traits in your zone of genius is the intuitive listening, saying what's not being said, right? Or not being articulated. And that's great. So that's what brings you joy. I love it. Yeah, that's perfect. Um, so a story of using, now we've already talked about, I mean, intuition is it's who you are, so it's wrapped in everything you do. Totally
Mm,
get it. There was something that you had said in your podcast guest info, was something about you stopping your podcast,
mm.
and that was an intuitive direction.
Man, I had a very successful podcast
Okay.
for years,
Mhm.
and I was not bringing me joy. And
Mm.
I tried to rebrand and I gave it a new name and we got a new logo and a da-da-da-da-da,
Mhm.
and I tried and I did like a handful of episodes with the new branding and the new direction, the new name. And the inspiration just did not come back. And my business coach, my husband at the time, everyone was like, that's a bad idea. Like you built something that before a lot of people were doing podcasts that have legs, that has like grown, that people know, and you're just gonna like let it go. And I was like, yeah, I know. Doesn't seem logically that sound of a choice, but I know it's the right choice.
Mhm.
And I don't regret that at all. I didn't have the relationship with it at the time to allow the podcast to thrive.
Mhm.
And I think that things need that intimacy to thrive. And it just wasn't giving, it just wasn't giving. It wasn't lighting me up. And then
Yeah.
I'm not going to show up and do the interviews in a way
Yeah.
that's going to light the guest up. And then the listener, it's like
Mhm.
that trickle effect starts with that, the source of the creation. And it just wasn't there. And I listened to my intuition instead of a lot of other smart people because I knew that I knew what was best for myself and my
Course.
brand.
Well, and that's what intuition is. Intuition is for you. It's for your evolution. It's what's meant for you.
That's important.
Yeah, it's
That's important because if a lot of our audience or people listening are coaches, I think that we have this intuition, or some might say that you're a seer, is another term for that. And you can see things, like I can hear things that my clients are saying, but discerning how much of it is for to share and how much of it is for you
Mhm.
is a very difficult skill to learn. Like we were
Yeah.
saying, the first part is creating space to listen.
Mhm.
And then it's hearing what's being said, and then it's trusting it, and then it's acting on it.
Yeah.
But that discernment of like what's intuition, what's fear, what's guidance, what's um, for you, what's for you to share. Because if you can hear or sense a lot for other people, are you meant to tell them that? Or
Yeah.
are you meant to button up your mouth because they're not asking? It's a discerning quality that a lot of people who are connecting with their intuition or their psychic gifts or things like that have to learn how to,
Mhm.
um, what's for them to share and what's not.
Yeah. Well, and that applies to, I mean, my world, my audience are typically creative entrepreneurs, mostly women of all different types, not just coaches.
Mhm.
So, I mean, what you're speaking to is really universal,
Yeah, of course.
especially for women. So yeah, it's creative entrepreneurs, which is my world. I too, which is why there's a synergy for us. Is I've lived as a creative my whole life. Yeah. So the key though that you said in there is that it didn't bring me joy anymore. Ladies, please, please, please listen to that. And that is your intuition telling you it's not bringing you joy. So pivot.
I would say, if I
Mhm.
might,
Sure.
we have to be very careful with that idea because I think not that you're saying this, but I think it can be misinterpreted often as like, oh, well, this doesn't bring me joy, so I should just stop doing it. Or like, if you have a romantic relationship or a business, you don't just get rid of it.
Right. Mhm.
It's like, okay, well, what dials in myself can I change? Like I tried with the business at first, with the podcast rather.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let's do a rebrand. Let's redefine the scope and the message of
Mhm.
it, and let's get different type of guests, and let's turn the dial here. It's like, okay, what am I? Have I turned every stone
Mhm.
so that I know that? leaving this is the right choice because, oh, something doesn't give me joy anymore. It doesn't mean we just throw it out of our lives or,
No.
and I know you're not saying that, but I think that that's like a common thing on the internet that's like, follow your joy. So like if things are hard, well, like business is hard, you got to stick with it. It's not always
Yeah,
going
it
to
is.
be joyful,
Yeah,
but
it
can you
is.
find the joy in
Mm.
showing up? Can you find the joy in growing? Can you find the joy in the stretch that it's asking of you that is uncomfortable? Like there's joy
Yeah.
everywhere if you're looking for it, but doesn't mean things are always going to feel like
Mm.
yummy.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's what I mean by that's good, and it's why pivot is key because a
Mm,
pivot when something is not bringing you joy can look different. It could be a rebrand like what you were doing. It could be okay, how can I do this differently, right?
yeah.
It doesn't mean, of course, get rid of it, but and always, and this is what I say, is go to your intuition to ask,
Mm,
what do you need to
a
do?
thousand percent.
Yes. Don't go to your logic, don't go to your brain and immediately come up with an idea and start taking action. Please lean back and ask, just like like I love your methodology of ask your business. By the way, I took down that advice. Ask your business, what does it want from you? I don't think I've ever, as intuitive as I am, and I live this stuff, I'm not so sure I've ever asked my business that. I think that's brilliant
Oh,
advice.
I'm excited to hear what
Brilliant,
comes
brilliant
forward.
advice. Because
Yeah.
yeah, I could use some advice right now from my business. Business, what do you
Mm,
want from me? So anyway, yeah, it's a pivot, and however that pivot needs to look when the joy isn't there. Okay, terrific. So we're going to kind of wrap this up with a few more pieces. Hmm. If you were to synthesize kind of one piece of advice, and you gave a lot of great tips today, I mean, what advice to creative entrepreneurs, most of them women, definitely have some wonderful men, creative men in my world. What would be that advice for entrepreneurs?
trust your creativity.
Okay, you heard her. Trust your creativity. And what do you mean by that?
I I personally use the word God in my life, but I'm non-religious.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think of it as like there's a creative potential that lives in all things. There's this potentiality that is just bubbling up on the surface all over the world, just all over, all the time. Make a meal, drink some water. Just like there's this creative potential to create something, to create art, to create ideas, to create intimacy, to create connection. And I feel like there's this nudge that happens that little tiny whispers or nudges and that's what when I say trust your creativity, I mean trust the nudge. Trust that little quiet tiny whisper because when you don't, it gets louder and louder in ways that are not um, always as gentle as they were to get your attention in the beginning. And so when we trust it in the beginning, we can avoid that kind of resistance process and the thing trying to get our attention to be created, to come into form. Like, hey, look at me, pay attention.
Mm.
And there's so many things that really limit our creativity. And the biggest thing is lack of something, lack of time, lack of energy, lack of resources to do it. And so it's like creativity is free. Sing a
Yes.
song in the middle of the day, make a sound, make a funny sound, like move your body in a kind of weird way. Like you're creating art, you're creating an experience, you're creating a movement, you're creating something. And I find when we just get the ball rolling and don't think of creativity as one medium like painting,
Right. Correct.
and you think of making the sandwich during the middle of the day as a creative expression, then like how do I get out of bed in the morning? It's like so many things can be creative. there's artistry in there's space for artistry and for us to kind of put our unique imprint and expression into the world. And I think then when we do it in a lot of ways and make that a norm, then when we go to our medium, that might be writing or painting or whatever, there's like a movement, there's a flow happening because we're already in that creative state because we're
Mhm.
trusting it all the time.
Yeah. Well, fabulous. Creativity is from our intuition.
Mm,
So the components of intuition, right, is spirituality, creativity, receiving, um, connection, collaboration, fun, play, adventure.
mm,
Creativity is one of those. So, in other words, the benefit, right, everybody, the benefit of creating that relationship with your intuition. Now, all I'm doing is defining what you've just shared, right? Is yes, when you have your relationship and trust your intuition as a reliable resource, right,
mm,
for your life, you will find you have way more creativity. You have way more ideas. You have way more joy. So creativity, I mean, I love that that's the advice is trust your creativity, trust the nudge. That's your intuition.
mhm.
Yeah, beautiful. Yay. Okay, love that. So, where can my listeners find you? And then tell us about what you recommend for them to get a first, time experience of your brand expertise.
Yeah, I hang out in two places. One is Instagram at Luna Battalia. The other is my website, lunaloveleadership.com.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of freebies in both of those places. And I have a course that I offer called Messenger, which is really helping people to master the art of being heard, people with businesses, personal brands, to bring that message through fluently and to really get fluent in that brand voice. And yeah, I'm offering your audience 10% off. And I know you'll give them the code and follow the, what is it called?
The portal of joy.
Portal of Joy. I was going to call it the Joy Library. Portal of
Same
Joy.
thing.
Same thing, but yeah, they can find that the discount code there, and it's a great place to get started. Even if you already have a brand, I do messaging with brands that are established all the time. It just doesn't have to be just getting started, and
Mhm.
it'll take you on a whole beautiful journey to help get fluent in your message and how to create content that reflects that message in a good way.
Wonderful. So I understand it's like a six-step what is it? Step-by-step messaging system. So you take them through a
Yeah.
system, right? That it's the animus branding.
Yeah, and I've developed this system over the last 15 years by working with people, and it's kind of my methodology that I've boiled down and I walk my one-on-one clients through in a pre-recorded, self-paced format so that people can get that process in their own time without,
Yeah.
you know, if the affordability of hiring me is an issue. Also, I have a wait list. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a great way to walk through that process. And to
Beautiful.
me, what I love about it is that it's brand messaging that's timeless. It's not
Mhm.
strategies that are going to expire next month when Instagram or
Ah,
whomever the platform is changes a thing. And that's the worst is like spending a bunch of money on a course that is teaching you something that like change, ads or stuff that just changes like tomorrow.
right.
Because this is like foundational for every business to really be able to understand why messaging is so valuable and then share it in a way that's really allows you to become unignorable and have that super strong point of view.
Beautiful. Yeah. And it's evergreen, right? It's
Yep.
evergreen
Grab it
because
anytime.
well, it's based on the fact that it's the animist, your methodology, which is all intuitive. That is forever. That never goes out, right? Oh, that's terrific. Okay, everyone. Messenger, master the art of being heard. Okay. So there's a 10% savings on that, and you'll find the link below for the Portal of Joy. It's free. You opt in, and in the Portal of Joy, those of you that have heard this before, you know what it is. Those that are new listening, is that my team and I created last year a place to house what we call high value gifts,
Mm.
right, from my guests. And so you're just opting in, it's free. And then once you get in there, you can purchase Luna's, right, messenger course and anyone else's downloads and freebie this and freebie that inside the Portal of Joy. It's very cool. Okay, so the link to the Portal of Joy is down below, and God, go grab this course. It sounds like a great introduction to Luna's, beautiful expertise. And yeah, I love it. That's really terrific. And thank you for the offer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, wow. I guess we could we could
Oh,
talk.
yeah. You and me, we could go on
Yeah.
forever.
A lot of synergy going on here for sure. So thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming on. Thank you for your time, because everyone's time is precious. So appreciate you being here with me and sharing to my listeners all your expertise. I know everybody, I know you'll relate on any level with what Luna has been sharing. So yes, please trust your creativity. It's in God, it's like the best advice. It's in my DNA. Yes, yes, yes. Please do that. And I will be seeing you on next episode. Everyone, you take care, be well, and be blessed. Bye. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening. You can find more entrepreneurial stories and resources at marladiane.com. And while you're there, enjoy my free downloads to up-level your business and your life. And Instagram. It's my favorite place to hang out. Let's connect there. If you received inspiration from the episode, I'd sure appreciate a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. Until next episode, take care.